We're here in the beautiful Tampa, Florida, and I have a little bit of a backstory I want to tell of how we got here. It was probably 2-3 weeks ago. I had a gentleman named Aubrey reach out to me. He tells me his story that he's been around boating and fishing for 50 years, has a tremendous history with fishing TV shows, boating TV shows, and I was interested. He had my attention, and he told me about this new boat that we absolutely had to see, but really didn't tell me much about it. So obviously I was intrigued. Got to speak with Aubrey a little bit more, and he was telling me a bit of a story of a gentleman named Skip Sorensen, which is this gentleman right here.
Hey, Alan.
Very nice to have you. And the story surrounds Century boats. So I wanted to start off with not the boat, but your story. Tell me a little bit about yourself. I know you have a tremendous history. I think it's important for the audience to learn a little bit about you. And then we'll get into Century boats, where it's headed, this amazing Navigator series of 4100 that we're sitting on right now. And then obviously we're gonna go through the whole thing for the audience to see, but let's start with you.
Skip Sorensen, 4th generation shipbuilder, 2 great grandfathers at Newport News Shipbuilding on opposite sides of the family. And I started off in submarine construction and did that for 7 years, delivered a nuclear class submarine, and then went on to a number of finance roles in aerospace and defense, and ultimately in private equity, where I did a lot of turnaround and restructuring work. But I've always had a love for boating, yachting, and have a small boutique investment banking firm called Acres Away Capital that helps boat businesses out with consulting and investment banking services.
Okay.
And I came across Century Boats through the owners of Century Boats at the Palm Beach Boat Show in 2018. And I worked with them for about a year and then invested in the business and have been running it since 2020 when COVID hit. We became involved in the business in March of 2020.
Well, I hadn't heard much of Century for quite some time, and now I understand why. Aubrey brought me up to speed a little bit. Why don't you tell the audience kind of what we're looking at here and what the goals are with Century now going forward?
Sure. Yeah, we've been in a little bit of a turnaround situation with Century. We're a low volume production manufacturing boat business. We've got a small dealer network, but we have big plans for the business. So we've done a number of acquisitions over the last 3 years, and we've brought on 21 new products over that 3-year period. We've introduced this boat that we're on today, the 4100. We're in the process of introducing that to the industry. It's called the Navigator series, and it'll be the first of 6 different models that we'll introduce. This boat was intended for between the open center consoles and a sport fisher. So we sometimes refer to that as a hybrid model. It's got an enclosed pilot house that keeps you out of the elements when you want to be out of the elements, when it's nasty weather or windy. But then you also have all the creature comforts outside of that, as you do in most center consoles, with outboard motors and low maintenance. And so we think it's a special spot between the big sport fishers and the center consoles.
Sure, and I think Century's always been known as, you know, a good quality production boat, kind of built for everyone. It's not really dedicated to fishing or cruising, a little bit of both, and it was perfect for a lot of people. This looks more, and speaking to Bob back at the marina, has more of that sport fish DNA, construction processes, and overall quality. When we walked up to the dock, this didn't look like a Century to me. It looked like something completely off the wall, different in a very good way. So maybe bring some of that into it if you don't mind.
Sure. Well, our traditional products are for the mainstream boater who likes to fish, is a serious fisherman, but also likes to take the family out and have fun. So we wanted to amp that up a notch, go into the more of the sport fishing arena, but give a high quality construction boat with a lot of the accoutrements of a sport fisher. And I think we've succeeded with this boat. It's got great fishability, and it's very comfortable, especially in inclement weather.
Excellent. Well, now we're going to do our thing. We took a quick cruise. We have this beautiful landscape behind us. Now we're going to go through it with our group of friends here. We got Bill Boyce with us, for God's sakes. That's pretty awesome. So we've been having a good time already so far, but we want to go through the boat like we always do. If you guys can teach us everything you can about it, we'd love to learn. I'm sure those watching would as well. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and jump up on plane. This thing's a big boat to have twins on it. Twin 600s, obviously. How do you find the performance with the twin 600s?
I find it pretty good. The motors are really powerful, especially for the size that they are. A lot of torque too. The 2-speed transmission is
it's nice.
Really interesting.
Nice for these big boats for sure. Oh, it's nice to be able to have twins and have all that room off the transom too. Almost feels like you don't have outboards back there.
It makes a whole lot of difference when you're diving and hopping in and out of the water.
Yeah. That's what you guys mainly do out here?
Yeah. A lot of free diving out here.
What do you mainly go after?
Got grouper when they were in season, but mangrove snapper, hogfish, cobia, a little bit of everything.
What does this boat top out at with the twins on it?
The boat tops out about 55.
Oh, that's not bad at all. What do you normally cruise?
Between 35 and 40. It's about 3/4 of a mile going 40 on the flats, Comp C.
Yeah. So you heard me mention the name Aubrey. Well, this is the man right here, Aubrey Cooper. He's the gentleman that reached out to me a few weeks ago and brought us into this whole story of this mysterious boat that was coming out, and then we finally got to learn about it. Aubrey, if you can, give the viewers a little insight about what your deal is here. How'd you get introduced to it?
Yeah, you know, I've had a lot of boats over the years, done a lot of fishing, been involved with a lot of projects, Inside Sport Fishing Television, lots of different things, Bill Boyce in his show. And, you know, we're always looking for the next best thing in boats. And I think over time, you can kind of figure out what it is that suits your needs best.
Sure.
And for me and the crew that I fish with and the type of fishing I do, this boat that I came across on the internet seemed to check all the boxes for me. You know, this is a 4100, but with the full walk around, there's all kinds of features embedded in this. I got super excited. I reached out to the factory and, you know, came with a couple of the thoughts and ideas of how it might even be further enhanced. Mm-hmm. And so now I'm sort of working in conjunction with Century directly to see if we can make this, you know, a really standout, unique boat in the marketplace. I know there's a lot of competition, but this is a unique opportunity. And once I think we unveil all the different little, you know, nooks and crannies of what this has to offer, it's really going to excite a lot of people. You know, there's a lot of brands out there, a lot of things I like, and I like this from that, and this, you know, from this brand. And there's a lot of good products out there. But at the end of the day, for our style of fishing, I happen to be on the West Coast, but we fish, you know, a lot of different places. And yeah, so I'm looking to be, you know, one of the next holes here. And, you know, being out here today is one good way of, you know, sort of specking out our boat.
I've learned that you know a heck of a lot about this boat. So we wanted to go through with Aubrey piece by piece just so we can learn about it. So if you can, you know, relay any information. We're starting here on the second station. We got a Marlin tower. I'm sure you have different options from, you know, not having a second station at all to maybe something larger. So if you can, take us through what we're looking at here, maybe what some of the other options are and whatever else, you know, comes to mind.
Yeah, I mean, the good thing about Century is that obviously, and many boats in this pedigree, right, there's some customization available, which makes it unique for each user and gives them the best value and success out on the waters. For us, obviously, we're on a half tower, Marlin tower today. It does come with the possibility of a gap tower, a tuna tower. Some people just want to get ultimate height, you know, and so with that height, you know, with the gyro binocs and the Seakeeper down below, we don't have the pendulum effect, so going up higher really isn't a deal, but it certainly affords us a little bit more distance in spotting,
sure,
you know, fish and so forth. I'd say even more so than that, things that can put us on the fish. The key behind this boat, in my opinion, is it's going to be the first sort of production boat that can come equipped with sonar, so deployable sonar. If you're talking about Faruna, we're talking about, you know, either searchlight sonar with a 500, C500, CH500 or 600, or an Omni sonar, which is, you know, pulsing 360. So that's a big thing for a lot of anglers around the world, whether you're a hardcore tournament angler, whether you're just a passionate recreational angler, or whether you're just trying to really figure it out for the first time, but you want as much at your advantage as you can possibly have. So,
of course.
So this boat is capable of being loaded with that. And it's not just, hey, can we stick it and shove it in someplace and say we have sonar.
Which tends to be the case with a lot of companies trying to figure out that Omni sonar is a pretty large apparatus to find the spot where you can cleanly integrate it into your center console, especially maybe some of the larger yachts, not so difficult, but something of this size is not easy. I've seen some of those cases where they've made it happen, and it's worked out okay, but to be able to have that, well thought out before, as the popularity increases and we know the obvious advantages of it, similar to what Seakeeper did, and now the boats are coming prepped, ready for the Seakeeper, and many of them come with it standard. So that might be the path we're going down with the Omni sonar and the Furuno product.
I agree, exactly, 100%. So you can shove something maybe in a space. Is it going to work optimally? Maybe not. You certainly don't want to end up putting something right in the middle of your head down, ruin the functionality of the rest of your boat. So this is all thought out in the design ahead of time from the running surface up. And so placement, even talking about, stringer placement and conduits and line runs and reinforcement, everything, co-engineered with Furuno folks to make sure that it actually runs as intended.
Very nice. Well, up here, obviously if you've fished or have been on a boat with a second station, it's a totally different experience from down below. Obviously we're out in the elements. This is a pilot house, so you have more protection down there, but the visibility you have from up here is absolutely incredible. And then, a gap tower is even further, and products like the Seakeeper make that gap tower just so comfortable nowadays. Like you mentioned, you eliminate that pendulum and you're kind of just going up and down with the seas. But if you've fished with a second station boat, a tower boat, you'll never want to go back after you do so. So, up here, what else do we have? We obviously your Edson steering wheel, Garmin 12-inch MFD, it looks like. You got zip wakes on this boat, I see. We have that on one of our boats, and we've had a great experience with it. Well, this is a great area down here, but let's jump down below and maybe start at the transom at those twin 600s and work our way forward.
Absolutely.
All right. Okay, so we jumped over to the transom, and one thing I noticed is that we got a great amount of space here, and this is a big 41 footer. We have twin V12 600s back here. Tell us a little bit about the performance with the twin outboards.
Speaking with the current owner operator, looks like they're getting a top speed in maybe the mid 50s. And efficiency, I think at cruise, they're cruising anywhere between 30-35 miles an hour, and I think they said they're getting about 3/4 of a mile to the gallon. And his estimation is we're in the mile to gallon, upwards of that.
Okay.
Of course, with flow scan and other technology, we can dial quickly into that. Everybody can adjust their operation accordingly if fuel is a big factor, right? But
of course.
Obviously, if we ramp up these motors and we go into, say, trip 600s, because this platform can hold up to 1,800 horsepower,
okay,
then obviously our efficiency is going to improve a little bit. Each of these motors isn't working as hard, and that efficiency is going to increase up a little bit.
So it's nice to have a boat of this size, and it almost doesn't feel like you even have outboards here. You have so much room, both port and starboard. If you're fishing here, there's almost no obstruction, and I know these owners do a lot of spear fishing, so this transom area here is fantastic for that.
But yeah, this openness is incredible. You've got almost a full 3 feet of space here. The nice thing about the rake design of this coming down off the transom is that if you're going to be leadering fish, a lot of times you're leadering billfish, you don't want to be hanging over the gunnel with your feet up in the air, right? There's safety rails that can be put on the corner here, but getting down close here, we can grab, release billfish, pop them out loose, make sure that they're in good condition, they're not harmed. I know you guys do a lot of sail fishing over here, same thing. So this provides a lot of access, and with the safety rails, this makes it a perfectly good platform and actually functional, right?
Yeah.
And again, if you have to and you want to clear the lines over the motors, you can certainly do that and walk it around no problem. Sure.
I noticed the owners put some spear gun holders off the back there, which is really nice. You got vertical rod storage, and obviously this is all removable. So if you guys are fishing, you can get this piece of upholstery out.
Yes.
Get that backrest out. Obviously it reveals a huge live well. How many gallons do we have here?
Yeah, so we got 70 gallons here. And this is all fed by the sea chest too, again, so pressurized. We got 30 as a potential under the mezzanine seating. We got two 15-gallon pitch wells up on either side of the bow.
Okay.
So we got a total of 130 gallons. And again, I know there's a lot of people that like to fish a lot of different baits, so you can separate your baits, you can do whatever you want. Typically on a bigger, sort of express boat, you'd have to be balancing up on the front of the bow, have some sort of bow tank sort of rigged into the bow, and it just gets to be a sort of an afterthought nightmare. And this just takes away all the issues, right? We can be chasing marlin, we can be chasing bluefin, we can be doing whatever we want on the bow and pitching those baits out there without having to run 41 feet back to go back and get fresh baits.
I think you guys do a good job also, having all the fishability that you want, but also integrating the comfort for the family to be able to take the, take the kids out, take the wife out, friends out, and be able to enjoy a nice day out here. And I believe I see this. I haven't opened that yet, but you got a retractable seat that's almost invisible when you're not using it. Obviously, this piece is probably out of there at the time you're doing that. And it's a great spot just to sit back, relax. And when you're running the boat, even in rough seas, this is the most stable spot in the entire boat. The bow can be bouncing, doing its thing, but you're gonna be stable here the entire time. So This is great. Okay, so now we're gonna check out the cockpit space, and we did take a look. It's actually a 12-foot, 4-inch beam. So we got that information for you. Wanted to show you a couple of the fish boxes. Crack these open. They are excellent size. I assume these are insulated, macerated.
Yeah, so this is a refrigerated coiled unit.
Ooh,
it's insulated underneath. So basically, yeah, it replaces the need for ice. So rather than, again, if you're big into fishing, it's not uncommon to load up with 100, 200, 300 pounds of ice, depending upon what you're doing. But if we can just turn on the instant freezer, we got some controls over here. You can bring this down to 0 degrees temperature if you want. Put it, if you just want it, if you don't want to over freeze the thing, you can, put it for drinks, food, whatever you want to do. And any of these holders, they're all able to accept the instant freezer technology.
This is fantastic. So you probably throw a little salt water in there with some fish and create a nice slush without even throwing any ice in there, huh?
Yeah.
That's nice.
None needed.
I always exaggerate. I was talking to the guys with ice. I always freak out that the ice is gonna melt, and some of these big boats, you throw ice in there and it feels like they're melting every minute. I always think about, man, it's getting late in the day. If we get into a school of mahi or something, we're not gonna have enough ice to keep these things cold. So I think it's an amazing feature. And what you were telling me is you can do it in any of the boxes, but we can also do it
in the 70-gallon
live well, and even the 30.
Yep, and up in the front too.
All the boxes, so it's an option you can put on any box on the boat.
That's correct.
Super nice.
Yeah, and these are, both of these on port and starboard are both 400 quarts.
400 quarts?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Now, if we can dive into the bilge, we got really good size access hatch right here.
Yep.
Why don't you go through some of the items we have? Obviously, we're seeing the Seakeeper 3, which is engaged right now. Absolutely amazing product on just about any boat, and you can feel it here. It's not rough, but if we didn't have this thing on, we'd be rocking. And obviously, while we're trying to film, it makes a big difference. And when you're out with your friends and family fishing or just enjoying a day out on the water, it completely changes the day for you.
Yeah, standard option on this platform.
Excellent. What else are we looking at here?
Well, you can see with the instant freezer technology we were just talking about, you see some of the units right here. Mm-hmm. Of course, we've got a sea chest tucked back in there, so that's a custom sea chest that was made specifically for this hole.
Two-pump system?
Yeah, two-pump system. So basically we have one pump dedicated to the 70-gallon and the 30 under the mezzanine seat. And then we have that other dedicated pump that runs all the way forward to the bow in each of the 2 live wells up there. So we have 2 15-gallon live wells up top.
All right. Well, it's very nice to be able to have access to everything. I can jump in. They have a couple of pods set up with a decking material for traction. If you got to work on the Seakeeper, they have a little indentation with a pocket for the Bilge, so all the water that comes in here actually will just work its way into that little pocket, so it'll keep everything dry, which is really nice. And then you can dive in underneath and get to the sea chest if you need to do anything with that. But very nice access to get in and out, and that's extremely important on a boat, this size especially.
Absolutely.
Before we continue on with the boat, we had to introduce an absolute legend right here, which has turned into our best friend automatically. I don't know, it seems like we've known each other for 30 years. It's the weirdest thing. But now that we have Bill Boyce on board, if you recognize him, he's done all kinds of TV fishing shows, fished all over the world. And I don't know if you want to bring up some of the things that you've done, but I remember watching your stuff forever and admire what you've done tremendously. So I wanted to take a second actually real quick and just see what your thoughts are on the Navigator 4100. From all the experience that you have, what are your thoughts when you see this thing?
Okay, so Aubrey brought me into this boat only just through kind of like, hey Bill, you gotta check out this 41 I'm thinking about looking at, and going out to Florida to look at the boat. And so I did, been on a couple of Zooms with Skip, right? Loved who the owner was, loved his background, loved the line like you had mentioned, right? Century's been around a long, long time. They've always made a good, a nice, good quality boat for the price. Mm-hmm. And I thought, wow, they're making 41s, they're making, 46s, 51s, 56s. I mean, they're really getting into that super console, highly competitive market. Who are these guys and what boat do they have that will compete in that market, right? So for me, and plus to be with you guys, right? I mean, come on now, right? You, Eric, Jason, you guys are gas. And what you guys do, I've been watching your productions for a long time now. Nobody does these kind of boat reviews better than you guys. And I'm not blowing any sand up your butt, but I'm just telling you, you guys do a great job. And then watching you guys work, and Aubrey showing all the different features of the boat here, I'm even more impressed. So me, right, with a marketing kind of a background, all this kind of stuff, I'm looking at this going, wow, there's so many ways I would market this boat, right? It's one thing to have these amazing features, fishability, all the other thing, but you know, when you got to market, you got to bring this to the public, right?
Sure.
So for me, I look at this boat as the ultimate 4x4. You think, wait a minute, 4x4, we're not off-road racing. No, we're not off-road racing. We're offshore fishing. So when I look at this boat, I think of a 4x4, meaning this is a 4-season boat, right? Because you have this climate-controlled cabin. People can get out of the weather. It can be raining. It can be sunny, hot. You got air conditioning. You got heating. You can fish this thing all 4 seasons. But more importantly, from a marketable standpoint, this is a 4-corner boat, meaning you can fish the northeast, northwest, southwest, and southeast. Right? This boat is applicable to be a high-performance fishing vessel anywhere in the American market.
The 4x4.
The 4x4. So I mean, you take this boat to the canyons up in Jersey or New York or out of Massachusetts, do a canyon run 90 miles offshore at night. You want to be out of that weather, right? By the way, otherwise you're going to get there, you're not even going to want to fish, right? You can be the Pacific Northwest. Let's say you want to go from Seattle, throw out some crab traps, go up and fish salmon, halibut, lingcod, come back. You know, you've got stuff where you could be in rainy weather, sunny, super hot weather, thunder showers that you guys have here, where everybody's tucked into a few square feet underneath the T-top. So this boat can do all of that. And then a lot of these beautiful, you know, I call them super consoles, they might have amazing sitting for 5, maybe 7 people, right? This has unbelievable seating for 5 inside that, climate control, 3 here, 3, you can have 11 people. So all of a sudden you have a boat that you want to go out to the sandbar like you guys do so, you know, so well here in Florida, where you've got so many areas you can enjoy a whole family outing. This boat's perfect for that. So it's not only a high-performance fishing boat, right, with unbelievable capabilities with the sea chest and potentially some sonar type capability, all kinds of engine options, refrigeration beast. How many boats have you guys done?
Refrigeration.
It's insane, right?
Yeah.
And really, when you want to catch a fish and you want to keep that fish, this kind of refrigeration system, this is so high tech. It's really unbelievable. So for me, looking at this boat to be a marketable boat, I look at this being all seasons, everywhere. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
You guys look at a lot of boats. So
they checked off a lot of boxes, and
did.
You know, nobody builds a perfect boat, and everyone has a different opinion of what they like. But when you go down a checklist of things you want on a boat, when you're looking at a versatile vessel, they really did a good job. And going through it, the more I go through it, the more we learn about it, and the more things we're introduced to. And every time you're like, wow, okay, that's a good idea. That's a good idea. That's comfortable to have. And if you're out in the water enough, and you always think about it, man, I wish they would do this, and I wish I would do that. And the good thing is also they're listening to the new owners, the feedback they give, and that's extremely important to get that information and actually implement it to improve your product. If you think you know it all, you're not going to last in this business. But if you actually take the opinions of those that are using your product and just random people, they're not going to always have the right opinion, but it's something you should listen to, and some you apply, some you don't. But that's how you end up with a product that's long lasting and ends up leading the way. And I'm incredibly impressed with what they've done. This is hole number 1. I'm sure they're just going to keep getting better as they go. Absolutely. But for being the first boat, this is absolutely fantastic. And me being a family man with 2 kids, I can see my family absolutely eating this up, and then the next weekend going out fishing with you and tearing it up with the boys. So awesome. I love the versatility of it, and we're going to continue walking through and seeing the rest of it. But Al, thank you, brother.
Pleasure, man.
Absolute pleasure.
Yeah, buddy. All right, you guys you're killing it. I'm so impressed.
Thank you, man.
I couldn't do this. These guys can do this.
No, it looks like you can do it. So I did notice you have really nice channels. It looks to be a self-bailing deck here. You got a fancy drain here in the back. Maybe talk a little bit about this.
They call it French drain, but yeah, these deep channels run the full length of the boat on the deck. which is really nice, right? Obviously, anytime a deck is dry, less slipping, less issues, further assisted by the fact that we've got the sea deck all over. This French drain, however, is just a nice way everything can flow out quickly. It's sort of the equivalent of having large scuppers, right?
Yeah.
So if you do get some water in for any particular reason, you know, it is easily evacuated, yeah.
Right, well, it's nice whether you be washing the boat, raining, anything of that nature. It's going to work its way through every one of the channels, even through the hatches, work its way to that French drain and then out of the boat. It's not going into the bilge. One thing I noticed is that the deck is, you know, a good height above the water line. So if you're backing down on a fish in a rough seas, you're not getting that water coming back into the boat, which we have come across. One thing I want to show you here on the port side, we have a dive door. We always like to crack these open, see how they work. This is the first time I do this. I noticed that we have a sea sucker with a cup holder there. I know that's a very important little thing for the guys up front, so I'm not going to take it off, but it looks like this slides perfectly flush right underneath and then has this piece over the top, so great spot to be able to jump in and out of the boat. Probably more likely at the dock with how comfortable you have the transom, and I'm sure the guys up front that do all the diving will tell us. What do you guys use? Transom or the side door to get in and out of the boat? Transom.
Yeah, fielder's choice, right?
Yeah.
Pick what's most convenient.
You have multiple options, so if you're at the dock, you know, being able to jump in and out with this door is incredibly nice. And again, with the ease you have off the transom, I would say that'd be the way to go too. So good to have both options. Real easy to close. It's nice that it hides flush underneath the cap there, and then obviously it closes, just locks underneath, and you're good to go. Then let's work our way over to the rear-facing mezzanine seat. As you mentioned, this has a 30-gallon live well underneath. Obviously, we see a Garmin MFD here. We see the controls for the Frigibar coils.
Yep.
What else can we do here? Are there other options?
Yeah, well, you know, there's a lot of people that like these alterations here. So you're seeing obviously the full mezzanine seating. There is a hybrid version where the seats are reduced with a partial tackle center. And then, of course, if you're just hardcore fishing and want to use other seating, just a full-blown tackle center.
Yeah, that's great. And also, if you do kite fishing and the type of stuff we do in Miami quite a bit, having a rocket launcher setup, which I'm sure you can do, could be incredibly comfortable here. And if the bite is slow, being able to sit here is nice. And again, having a live well, which can also take that coil system and double up as a cooler if you don't need that much live bait, is really nice as well.
Yeah, again, it's versatility beyond belief. That's what's, you know, nice about this boat.
That's what it's all about. Real quick, this isinglass, is it an option to also have this enclosed, you know, full time, or?
Yeah, you know, if you want to kind of make this a more solid enclosed pilot house, that's certainly one of the options. And what we see here is just you know, the isinglass, but the other alternative is a actuated retractable windscreen or window, right?
Okay.
So it's just a hard surface, you know, so you can do away with whatever appeals to you.
Yeah.
And again, that sort of couples with the fact that on the port and starboard access to the helm, again, solid doors with solid windows, fully lockable.
Gotcha.
So again, whether it's a security issue, just peace of mind, or you actually like that enclosed feeling with no wind and other elements, take your choice.
Oh, being from Miami, I personally like the isinglass. I like, when I'm out on the boat, I like the open air feel. It's nice to be able to just get this, roll it up, get it out of the way, but close it if the rain kicks in or you have the rare cold day and want to, you know, keep the wind out. But obviously up north, you're dealing with the cold weather, which I can see maybe, you know, this not being enough and having a full enclosure a better option.
Yeah.
So I noticed up top you have nice vertical rod storage. It looks like, what, 10? And you mentioned there's another option up there as well. What else can they get?
Yeah, I mean, I think, again, the key about this whole Century hybrid line, you know, between the starting with the 32 going up to the 56, is that this is really yacht mentality that's brought down into a lower form factor, right? So it's not like just a small boat trying to throw some features on it and, you know, see what sticks. The original vessel that this was based upon was a 53, and in that boat it has a retractable rocket launcher set. So you can get double racks, 20 rod holders.
Really?
And it's on an actuator that goes to that pod in the center, and that pod you can probably see it. I don't know if you can catch that from the cameras, but that pod also acts as a place for the teaser reels, but that's where the actuators are. And what'll happen is these rocket launchers actually fold down to this height, so you can rack rods as easily, take them out, you know, whatever you want to do, hit the actuator, boom, send it back up and get it back out of your way.
That's
the key for that, again, is, again, functionality, quickness. Sometimes you got to act fast. Some of these lines might actually be, maybe being worked as a center line. So, but you certainly don't want to have people, you know, balancing, trying to walk around. Why do that and risk safety when you can just hit a button, rack your rods or unrack your rods, put it up and get them out of the way. So really key thing. And I know the folks that bought this one, again, you said that they were more keyed into spearfishing. So they didn't opt for that, but certainly on my vessel, that would be a thing.
Gotcha. You mentioned also a sunshade being an option, right?
Yeah, and you'll see these clips in here. And that's a pretty common feature, right? So we got some carbon fiber poles that can go into the rod
so
holders.
just attach it to these rings and right into the poles.
And that's also in the bow as well. So you've got both forward and aft sort of comfort and sun protection.
Yeah, day out on the sandbar with the family. That's a great thing to provide a lot of shade. It's a big area back here, a nice entertainment space. Be able to have that is key, at least with my family I've experienced.
Yeah.
So you also have a ton of lighting. I see the Lumishore lights up here. We saw a big one up front.
Yeah, whatever. I think it got maybe a
52
40,
or something that they mentioned.
Massive light bar, and as you know, those Lumishore is a great product.
Yeah, the amount of light these little things are shooting out right now is absolutely incredible.
Yeah, absolutely. For very little amperage and drain on anything.
All right, perfect. Let's continue working our way forward.
Absolutely.
I'm walking my way up the starboard side. Aubrey's going to meet me at the helm, but I wanted to point out both port and starboard, you have this space here. We have refrigerators on both sides, but you can also do ice maker, freezer, propane tank, whatever you can think of. This is basically a semi-custom build in that aspect. So that space, you can utilize it for whatever you want, and it's absolutely excellent to have refrigerators or any of those items on your way up to the helm here. All right, Aubrey, here we are in the pilot house. This is probably one of the bigger changes for Century and this model altogether. So in this one in particular, we do have the isinglass. We have the isinglass in the doors. As you mentioned, we do have the option to do the sliding doors and the retractable window aft. So if you want to get out of the elements, even just like this with these things open, it's a huge change. There's actually a bit of a chill out here, even though it's sunny and beautiful. So when you tuck yourself in here, it feels super comfortable, and you can hold a conversation even when you're doing 40 miles an hour. So it's a very comfortable feature option, and probably what sets this boat, you know, apart from some other center consoles in this size. No?
Yeah, absolutely. There's hardly any you know, model. I had a hard time trying to find this vessel, right? So
that's right, you were searching for this yourself.
Yeah, I mean, there's other brands out there that have a couple little things they maybe dip their toe into a little bit, but this whole series is dedicated to this sort of hybrid philosophy that you get the best of both worlds. So full fishability, but you can, like you said, tuck in and get out of the elements. Whether you're in a cold environment and you need to turn the heaters on, or you know, or vice versa, right? And hot environment and you turn the AC on. So people fish in different ways in different coasts and different areas. This functionality and usability just, to me, is a game changer. I've also, you know, sort of had a little bit of experience with some skin cancer issues. So, you know, getting out of the sun, protecting yourself, these are all important considerations. If you've spent, you know, 40, 50 years of your life out in the open sun and subjecting yourself to the elements, you know, this is one way to help prevent that from occurring.
Yeah, it'll definitely give you more time in the water, whether you be down south of Miami or up north where it's cold. And you guys did a really good job. Century did a really good job. It's a 41-foot boat. This is like the size range where dual row seating becomes a thing. You would think dual row seating with a pilot house would create more of a cramped cockpit or a bow area, and actually neither feel cramped. This is a 12-4 beam. It's a good size width to it, but it's not massive, but I mean, everything fits well. We don't feel cramped in here at all. We have the 2 helm seats right here and a full bench seat behind that. So a very comfortable spot to sit back and relax, and has a nice, you know, overall distribution to it.
Yeah, and if you obviously put these bolsters down, this can also, you know, double as a bunk. You know, it's a full tier. And yeah, so
I'll take a nap on there, no problem.
Yeah, the other thing that's kind of cool up here, maybe, you know, we touched on the instant freezer technology. You know, don't put your finger in there too hard, but you feel the ice, right? So your cup holders are refrigerated, so again, you're going to have icy cold beverage or whatever it is that you're drinking all the time. So there's just a lot of unique features, again, in this boat that really, you know, attracted me to it.
Cool. As I noticed, you have a step up here just for a little better visibility over the bow, which is nice. Again, you have Garmin, but you can do other options when it comes to electronics. So depending what you guys want, you can work with pretty much everyone, I'm sure, here with Century, or is it
Yeah, no, of course, at the end of the day, if the customer wants red, they get red, whatever they prefer. But yeah, we do have an integrated suite that we're perfecting with Furuno. Ranges everything from MSDs to radar, to sonar, to sensors, so getting these nice bespoke packages that are fully integrated, tested, they're on proven platforms, they're basically turnkey solutions for any Century customer, just makes it a no-brainer to say, yeah, just give me that package, right? For example, you can change the configuration of the layout. That gets back to that sort of semi-customization of the boat. We're seeing a couple of 16s here, but this will fit two 22s. We can put one 22 on the left, sort of stack two 12s on the right. So again, however you like to think about or use your electronics is up to you. So again, very customizable.
Okay. Yeah, I noticed a couple of AC vents here as well on a hot day that can come in handy. Your zip wake head unit, we have this on our boat. We've had a great experience with them. Joystick, JL audio head unit. You got a couple of speakers here, which I'm sure you don't need a lot of sound to make it sound good in this pilot house, I can imagine. Really nice setup overall. And then we're gonna have the cabin we're gonna jump into and take a look at.
Yeah, and just before we go to, we have all digital switching, so
okay.
We've got everything integrated and be able to run from the MFDs or through the switch. This
is like a backup panel.
Yeah, so redundancy again, just another safety factor to take in mind.
All right. Yeah, vessel view, VHF mic, and a little bit of storage up here. I notice as well, right?
Yeah, we got
Perfect.
some chargers and whatnot, so keep all your your electronics nice and charged.
Okay, excellent.
I think the key thing about this cabin, on a 41-foot center console, most of the time this area is sort of just relegated to maybe a little head, maybe a little storage, throw in a dry bag or a ditch bag. There's not a lot of room normally to work in this, and sometimes there's even batteries and other electronics in here. The difference between those vessels and this is that we have a fully functional cabin, still on the 41, still with the pilot house, still with the easy access and flow up front and in the rear. So it really does give you the best of all worlds. Down here we've got a full berth, easily accommodates 2 adults. Again, we have another refrigerator, we have lots of storage. We've got microwave, we've got options for cooktops, and we've got a full head stand-up shower, vanity, very nice. And you also might notice that there's a lot of natural light. So even when the companionway is closed, we've got interior windows that allow you to see over the gunnels outside. So again, giving just a nice, light, airy feeling. Again, as we talked about the sonar, which is, I think, one of the biggest game-changing features of this boat, is that in this mid-berth area under the helm, we're calling it the sonar room. And the sonar room is actually the deployable sonar itself, like the CH500, the transceiver unit, all the electronics that go with that, as well as built-in storage for tools and parts. Converting this stealthy boat into this sonar-capable vessel with a sonar room is just an excellent use of space, and of course increasing the functionality of your fishing. So again, able to get out of the elements, sleep in a nice warm berth with heat instead of on a bean bag out on a wet dewy night.
Working our way up to the bow, I wanted to show you the additional storage that they have here. I have a 200 quart right in front of us. I got a 150 underneath me. You can do that Frigibar system as well, so you could encapsulate these and turn them into coolers. If not, it's an excellent additional storage space. And underneath here, we have some gaff holders, and you could enclose this if you wanted to make it lockable storage as well. Finally, we make our way up to the bow. You have a great sized lounger right here. You can fit 2 to 3 people with it, no problem. Cup holders under there, which are always good to have. And then I'll start opening some hatches. Aubrey, what do we have down here?
Yeah, so this can be used obviously for different storage. One cool thing about this space is that you can also opt for a 60-gallon auxiliary fuel tank.
Okay.
If you take that 60, this vessel has 535 gallon standard, so between the two you're effectively at 600 gallons.
Okay,
which
very nice.
Based upon the ranges we were talking about earlier, just give you lots of reach when it comes to your sort of sea adventures.
All right, very nice. Also, we have a freshwater wash down here to my left. The boat holds 50 gallons of fresh water, before I forget to mention that. And then we have more JL audio speakers. What do we got here, Aubrey?
Yeah, again, access to the road locker, so chain road.
And then a nice step just to be able to get up to work your windlass. This is a through-hull windlass we have up here, and then on both sides, these are the pitch wells you were talking about, correct?
Yeah, that's right. So we got, again, these are 15 gallons a piece. So again, also pressurized, running off one of the dedicated sea chests.
Very nice. And again, these pitch wells, it's not like you're going to hold a ton of bait there and be running offshore for 30 miles, but when you get into an area where you're going to be doing some fishing, you can pass some baits up here, or if you're going to reposition and you have a line up here, pull that line up, throw your bait that's still hooked, move, you know, your half mile and then deploy it once again. So very useful, and a good space up here as well. You guys got a huge console with the pilot house, the cabin underneath, and you still have a good amount of space here to be able to fight a fish 360 degrees around the boat.
Absolutely. And the other thing you talked about as far as usability and kites up here, this is all rigged for different electric outlets. So as far as you know, downriggers, kites, anything you want to use, you've got electrical access.
Okay, excellent. So before we wrap up, right over our shoulders, you're going to see the open array radar and the FLIR camera, which I hear is a standard feature. What are some of the other standard features? It seems like there's a ton on this boat, if you can go through a couple of the notable ones.
Seakeeper being one of them. You know, the big, large live well. Yeah,
the FLIR we just mentioned. Yeah,
the pilot house obviously is a standard application. There's a lot of things embedded in here that normally would be an upcharge. And they have a significant value, right? So you sort of line these out at the bottom, you know, there's significant savings that are embedded in to the product. It's actually a very premier product and premium product that, again, which is what attracted me to the model in the first place. So I'm very happy with going through with my purchase for my vessel.
Very good. And like you mentioned, the Omni sonar, things of that nature, that is not a standard option, I imagine. But having it prepped for it, you said the fabricating the shell to hold that apparatus could be more expensive than the Omni sonar itself in some cases. So having that already baked into the standard product is a big deal on its own.
It's a huge thing. Again, it's sort of leveling the playing field when it comes to fishing. And again, people go to great lengths to try and use this technology, and no one's ever to this point had it been a designed-in sort of element of a fishing platform, and that really surprised me. And so when Century and Fruno decided that they could come up and do a project like this, that just makes it all the more easier for me to know that I'm getting the right product for me that sort of wasn't sort of jerry-rigged in the background. And that you just don't want to go through that, think you have something and it doesn't turn out to be what you want. So I have the confidence to move forward knowing this is the right thing.
Yeah, and learning about this product, about you guys, from Skip, Bob back at the docks, there's a lot we haven't even gone over here. Maybe one day we do a factory tour or something, because they said a lot of these guys have that background of 30, 40 years of boat building experience, and in the custom sport fish world, the Riscoli line, getting into the, I don't know if I pronounced that right, but bringing some of those tactics and building processes into this boat, and even having some carbon fiber in the hull itself, everything being infused. There's so much information that it's tough to get into a video that's not 3 hours long for you guys. So hopefully we can get into that. But I have learned enough, and that's the whole point of doing these videos, right? Getting out and learning about a product, then being able to pass that information along to those watching, and then I have 1,000 conversations about this video in the future, and that's kind of the fun part. But if you're interested in something in this size range, and mention again the other 5 that are coming in the Navigator line, if you don't mind.
Yeah, so it starts at 32, it bumps up to 36, then you go to a 41, a 46, a 51, and a 56. So, and they all share the same silhouette, same premium philosophy, same type of embedded features that are standard. Make no mistake, I mean, it's a very distinguished looking line, and you're not going to be able to miss that when you see different size holes coming your way. But again, the functionality and getting all that extra pilot house, for me, again, just hugely important. I know it is for a lot of other people. Long gone are the days of when we were a lot younger, right? Fishing to 2, 3, 4 in the morning, running back, in rain and cold and everything else. Why not be comfortable? You can have it. You can have it all right here. So why not? Yep,
100%. So you guys watching, if you're interested, like I said, in anything in that full line that they have coming out, this is something completely different from what I've seen in the past of Century. Come check it out. It's something worth looking at with your own eyes. Touch it, feel it. if you guys are going to make it out to a boat show, or however they can get in contact with you, their website, I suggest you do it. Give it a good look, experience it like what we're doing today, and I think you're going to be extremely impressed. That's what we can say. And if you have any questions, feel free to drop a comment in the video, reach out, ask for my phone number. I talked to a bunch of people by phone about our experience, and I have no problem doing it. You know, we're blessed to be in this position doing what we enjoy doing, so I definitely don't have a problem talking to you guys out there. So thank you guys for spending the day with us. Aubrey, thank you very much as well for taking the time, and the entire team, Skip, you know, Bob, the Grant, everybody for lending us the boat for the day. Thank you very much. Send this to anyone that would appreciate watching the video. We definitely appreciate it. Subscribe to the channel if you don't mind. Again, my name is Alan Blanco with Center Consoles Only, and we'll see you again very soon.